So we're locked into Minnesota right now with ICE officially done playing games with these people, with additional federal officers now being sent. Enforcement has escalated, and it's happening for good reason. As we know, protesters have been deliberately obstructing ICE operations, blocking, using their vehicles, interfering with arrests, and testing federal authority. And so now it looks like the response has changed. Don't forget, smash that thumbs up button. Let me know you love the video. Subscribe to the channel for more and share this video. That way more people see what's really going on. And so now we know, ladies and gentlemen, despite the greatest attempts by the legacy media to shift the narrative and move the goalposts, now we know what actually happened. I mean, we already knew, but now it's been verified. The officer was hit by the vehicle. Yes, shocking, right? Not really, though. Despite the legacy media's greatest attempt and the Democrat Party's best effort to downplay the severity of the officer's injury and claim that he really didn't get hit. You even had the mayor, the Minneapolis mayor, saying the officer could have gotten out the way, that he's barely brushed by the vehicle, the type of injury you could receive simply by closing your refrigerator door with your hip. But the latest report shows the officer involved in the shooting suffered internal bleeding and had to be hospitalized after being clipped by the vehicle. And protesters thought they'd be able to get away with continuing to obstruct ICE operations, stalking ICE agents at their hotels, blasting loud music through the night. And so now it looks like ICE is done playing games. Take a look.
Good for you. Don't move.
Put your hands in your pocket. Put your hands in your pocket.
I don't pose.
I'm dying, yeah.
Are you okay?
No. He's not okay. He's not okay.
What happened?
I'm not resisting.
What are you doing? You're under arrest for making a
No, I
threat.
never said a threat. I never said anything. I never said anything. I want to move my car. I am disabled. I have a brain injury.
Stay back.
I am autistic and I have a brain injury. Put me down. I was just trying to get to the doctor and I'm autistic.
These people need to start getting arrested and actually get charged with a crime and have to show up to court. Anybody who wants to place themselves in front of a vehicle physically, use their vehicle to block ICE officers on the road, they need to get arrested, charged with a crime, and have to show up to court. That's the only way then that you will start preventing this from happening. You can't just arrest them and then let them go. You do that, then they're going to feel like they can still go out here and do what they want. It's only a slap on the wrist, and nothing could really happen to them until they actually have to suffer real consequences that end up affecting their everyday lives. That's when you'll start to see this type of behavior actually shift and change. And this was bound to happen, where when you see citizens constantly disregarding federal law officers out doing their duties, it was only a matter of time before then the illegal immigrants that they were after would start to feel like they could do the same thing also. And so let's get into this video where an illegal immigrant allegedly tried to ram ICE agents with their car. Let's check this out.
Whoa. Troopers, check his plates. Come out of the car. Come out of the car. Come out of the car. Open the window. Yo, he's in proceedings. He's good to go. Let me get my break. Lower the window.
Watch out behind you! Watch out! Holy! Watch out in front of you! Watch out in front!
Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Watch it. He's got a ram. Cut it off. Cut it off. Now. Cut it off. Turn off the car. Cut the car off. Cut off. Come out of the car. Come out of the car. Come out. Now.
It's not like people haven't tried to flee deportation in the past. I know that. But when you have citizens who don't agree with what's happening, feeling like they can insert themselves into federal law enforcement operations, you end up with these kind of outcomes. And only if Democrat leaders were actually looking to hold people accountable instead of making excuses, maybe we wouldn't have this going on. But nonetheless, that's exactly what the Minneapolis mayor continues to do. as he was caught saying some things that were basically completely false about how he and Governor Tim Walz are cooperating with ICE and federal law enforcement to keep everyone safe, when we know that's not exactly what's happening. Take a listen.
These individuals were roaming free in your city because your policies do not cooperate with detainers, and so ICE is then going to get these people off the street. You would agree that the streets are safer without these individuals on your streets?
Look, in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, we are anti-murder, we are anti-crime, we are for improving the safety wherever we can. And by the way, we have worked with administrations, both present and past, to drive down crime. We've worked with the DEA, the ATF, the FBI to prosecute and charge violent crime. We've worked to get perpetrators of violent gun crime off the street, narcotics off the street. In fact, the work that was conducted was so successful, it resulted in the lowest number of shootings on record on, for instance, the North Side. We are willing to work with people when it's about murder and when it's about crime. But the truth is that this ain't about that. If this were about that, we'd have many important areas where there would be areas where we could work together. This, however, is the largest immigration enforcement action on record in the United States.
I mean, what does that actually mean? You're anti-crime in Minnesota, you're anti-murder in Minnesota. Isn't every state that? I mean, isn't every state goal to achieve that? And how good you are at achieving it is a matter of your state, your policies, the leaders in place who enforce the laws. Ultimately, all of this is very preventable if Minnesota chose to work along with ICE, if they chose to give them access to the prisons, if they chose to give them access to data and information of the illegal migrants who they were after, if they chose to actually make it easier, that would keep not only the citizens safe, but it would keep the law enforcement officers safe also. If they chose to do those things, then we wouldn't see everything we see occurring right now happening. But they're choosing to protect those who are here illegally. They have a more of a vested interest in protecting those people than actually working along with the federal government. And this next clip is a perfect example of that, as the mayor tries to deflect away because he doesn't have an answer to this. Take a listen.
Are you familiar with Victoria Eileen Harwell, an Ecuadorian illegal immigrant in August of 2024, driving drunk, crashed head-on into Victoria Harwell, killing her. Her 14-year-old daughter survived, and her sister. ICE released her, local Hennepin County released her not once but twice and didn't cooperate with ICE detainers. Why not? Since you're in favor of removing them, cooperate with ICE. Whether you have this sanctuary policy that the DHS says it is, you call it a separation ordinance. Why not just cooperate and make it safer for everyone involved, the community, the officers, and even the migrants?
My position here is pretty straightforward, and that's this. If you commit a crime, if you commit fraud, if you commit a carjacking or a murder, you should be investigated, charged, prosecuted, held accountable, and yes, arrested and put in jail. That is my position if you commit a crime and you are a problem on the streets of the city of Minneapolis that has made us less safe. What I am saying is that a lot of the people that ICE is picking up right now in our city are not a problem for Minneapolis. They've opened businesses. They've been here for longer than I've been here. They contribute so beautiful and greatly to our city. They have families here.
If the goal was actually to drive down crime and punish those who commit crimes, as the mayor is trying to explain, then how do you explain releasing someone back onto the streets after they just killed someone because of a DUI that was here in this country illegally in the first place? What the mayor is attempting to do is exactly what we see from the Democrat Party time after time again. Deflect and then move the goalposts and turn the conversation into something it's not in order to distract from what's really happening. But here's the border commander, Greg Bovino, responding to the mayor, Jacob Fry, reminding everyone of something that you guys heard me say if you've been keeping up with this story, which is the protesters, these people who are obstructing federal officers, they don't even know the people they're defending. They can't know because they don't have the information. They don't know what information federal officers are going off of in order to make these arrests. They don't. They don't know if they're protecting or hindering the arrest of a child predator, a murderer, someone who traffics women. They're clueless. All they know is they see federal agents, and so they want to blow their whistles, honk their horns, and stand in front of vehicles in order to stop them from doing their jobs. And it just makes absolutely no sense. But let's take a listen.
Your response to the mayor telling ICE to get the F out of the city?
Sure. You know, Mayor Fry seems to, again, Matt, we've said this many times, choose illegal aliens and criminal illegal aliens over the American citizens in his city. Let me say that again. He chooses criminal aliens, aliens that would harm children, kill, rape, and maim American citizens. He chooses them over his own citizens.
And that's why these people need to be arrested. The people who obstruct federal law enforcement need to be arrested, because when you block agents from doing their job, when they're directly preventing them from carrying out lawful operations, while agents are trying to execute federal actions, including what could be an extraction of someone who has harmed the community, that's absolutely wild. But now let's get into this, where it's the former father-in-law of the driver, Renee Good, talking about what happened. Take a listen.
I want to ask you about this. You know, when you talk about the confusion, and you've been open, obviously, about your support for the president, when you look at the videos of what happened, and I'm sure they're very hard for you, Timmy, to watch, if you've even been able to, but the Deputy Attorney General says that the Justice Department doesn't believe that there's evidence to back a criminal investigation, right? And no, nothing about charges or anything like that, just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agents' actions. But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, you know, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where, he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs. And so in a flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding that he had been through that before, maybe dragged or something. And so, like I said, it's just a hard situation for everybody. Becca, she's a great person as well. I mean, I don't have any enemies. I love everybody. And that's what the Bible tells us, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. But, I think there's some bad choices. And the word says, for the wrath of God will come upon the children of disobedience. And, I don't blame ICE. I don't blame Rebecca. I don't blame Renee. I just wish that, if we're walking the Spirit of God, I don't think she would have been there. That's the way I look at it.
So
this was all preventable and something that did not have to happen. I mean, now they're talking about the officer involved in the shooting has had to go into hiding because of all the threats on his life and the doxing of his family. And so this is not something that he wants, I'm sure, and this is something that nobody wants. But maybe we will never know as far as how someone like her got to the point where they decided that was going to be how they decided to spend their day, where they were going to follow around federal law enforcement officers, obstruct federal agents. Not only that, join an organization that literally teaches you exactly how to interact in order to be in obstruction, in order to be an agitator with federal law officers. Yes, that's something we found out as more information came out. And now Fox News is reporting more on that with Tom Homan. Take a listen.
The New York Post reviewed an Instagram posting from last June by Minnesota ICE Watch, the anti-ICE group Renee Nicole Good was part of before she lost her life. The group issued an instruction manual. So this is the constellation of information she was privy to. And all of the angst and the violence and all that you're seeing, some of it is directed and some of it is instructioned, followed. It gives directions, this manual, on how to disrupt the official duties of federal law enforcement. One tactic it shows is pushing or pulling an officer off a suspect. It advises to, quote unquote, keep a low center of gravity and push up with the explosive power. All instructions to break an officer's grip on an arrestee. Another quote, try striking the grip. It then warns this can get construed as assault in court. It also encourages pressuring officers to release suspects by surrounding them, swarming them, blocking them, and or using their vehicles and chanting, "Let them go." The manual, Tom Homan, warns these may be crimes when in fact they are all federal offenses. So it could be a crime. They're all crimes. They're federal offenses. The last page of the manual actually offers this illustration. Please look up at your screen. It's protesters breaking the law by obstructing arrest. Most of that advice, straight up felonies. Tom Homan, your reaction.
Well, I just left the meeting about 20 minutes ago here at the White House. I can't say a lot, but let me say this. Okay. We are aware of this coordinated effort. We are aware that this is being financed. We are aware that there are actual groups well coordinated to attack the men and women of ICE and to try to prevent them from doing their jobs. Accountability is coming because we're working very closely with DOJ, the FBI, HSI. We're doing a deep dive into this. We'll follow the money. We'll follow these groups. We'll investigate these groups. Justice has come to these people.
Lock them all up. Dismantle the organizations. Label them a domestic terrorist organization, whatever you have to do in order to stop this from happening. Because then the next thing that's going to end up happening, as we continue to allow this to escalate and go further, as people feel more emboldened to interfere with ICE operations, is that it's going to be an ICE officer who loses their life. In the same way, nobody wanted to see that woman lose her life. But when you put yourself and you continue to make poor choice after poor choice, you put yourself in a position where things like this can happen, unfortunately. And so you have to dismantle this whole thing. You can't allow people to be able to actually have this going on where they're creating and showing people how to actually go about interfering with ICE, creating entire organizations. But let's go to CNN, where you know how Abby Phillips gets. She loves to defend the Democrat Party. She's supposed to be the moderator, but somehow she always inserts herself and puts it in a position where she's always defending the Democrats. And so let's go to this clip, and then I'm going to actually show you another clip, also from CNN, where you're going to stick around for this, where they're actually putting ICE in a good light. But first, let me show you this clip as far as where they're talking about how it was under the Obama administration. Take a listen.
Deportations. I'm sorry, but the deporter-in-chief, Barack Obama, didn't have militarized ICE agents roaming the streets in order to do the proper operations.
Why?
And what are we doing right now?
But why is it?
And by the way, small government Republicans suddenly love having feds roaming the streets like this. Come on.
Not ever answered. Why is it that, I mean, why can't conservatives answer for that? Why was Obama able to deport so many people without creating anything like
because there wasn't resistance, and that's an important piece that we cannot ignore.
No. That's not the reason.
I think that is the reason.
No, hold on. That's not the reason. It's not because there wasn't opposition to deportations. There absolutely was. It's because these types of raids were not happening.
Correct.
ICE agents were not walking around masked. That did not happen.
Well, let's stop right there, because the reason why ICE agents weren't walking around with masks back then is because they didn't have to worry about getting doxxed. There was no threat of people coming to harm their family, disrupt their personal lives, stalk them. And it also had a lot to do with how the media was choosing to cover ICE operations back then. Matter of fact, check out this clip of CNN from 2016 and how they were covering ICE operations. You'll notice something very different with the coverage and how they're framing what's going on. Take a listen.
Under the cloak of darkness in Chicago,
Attack one, guys.
An immigration and customs enforcement team gears up for another long day, pursuing undocumented immigrants who have been convicted of crimes in the U.S. ICE agents mistakenly arrest the target's brother.
In the process of talking to him in the vehicle, he then said, "Oh, no, I'm actually so-and-so. Who you're looking for is over here, this other address." He led us to that address, and we were able to actually arrest the individual.
Do you have evidence, right, that he's using a fake identity, or?
That is correct. We believe he's been using a U.S. citizen's identity to live and work. He has an Illinois driver's license. Third target, he has an unauthorized use of a weapon, which was a firearm. He has a couple DUIs. He is a criminal. He has an extensive criminal history. And by taking him out of the community, it's making the community safer. And that's ICE's purpose, is to focus on criminals and community safety by taking these recidivist criminals out of our communities.
Wow. Almost can't believe that was CNN. because they were actually giving you good journalism. Wasn't propaganda. Actually put the ICE officer in a bit of a good light. He made a mistake, got the brother, which was the wrong guy, released him, led him to the right guy. Some actual journalism. But that's something we don't really see from CNN and definitely not from Abby Phillips currently nowadays. But let's get back to the clip. Take a listen.
I mean,
none of that happened.
Do we concede that the level of resistance that's institutionalized from government agencies actually does matter?
Hold on.
That's
why is there resistance?
Right. Here's why.
Why is there resistance from the population about what?
No,
ICE
it's
is
the resistance. I think a lot of it is being fueled by how they are perceiving this based on media coverage that I don't think has been particularly fair.
Well,
but the difference.
Could
Hold
it
on.
be because of what they're seeing in their own communities?
Let me answer your first question because I think it is an important one, right? I mean, the resistance under Obama was not the same as what we're seeing now. We didn't have sanctuary cities and states and counties at the time. That matters. Here's why. Because when you're trying to make a deportation effort, when you're trying to engage in this, and you're being told that a prison is not going to hang on to someone who's already a criminal and release them out into the street, you are forcing ICE agents to go into communities.
Hold on. If all ICE was doing was simply getting those people that you're describing, again, I don't think we would even be sitting at this table having this conversation. The vast majority of the arrests that ICE is making are not of people who were just arrested for a violent crime. They are people who overstayed their visas. They are people who are going into courthouses
70% of criminal
have
records.
their
70% of criminal
have
records.
their
day in court. I'm
day
just saying
court.
70% of criminal records.
Kind of going back to something he says, states started passing laws beginning around 2017 with California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado, where you had entire states passing laws with sanctuary states where they restricted cooperation with ICE. And then by 2021, under the Biden administration, you had sanctuary policies had been expanded and federal enforcement was reduced as local resistance increased and states and cities started to openly defy ICE. And so here goes a bit of my personal opinion on all of that. States dominated by Democrats. You're talking about California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey. These are states that are dominated by Democrats. They decided that they would create these sanctuary states as a way to gain more leverage come elections, whether that was the midterms, whether that was the national elections. It's a way for them to be able to gain more leverage. You gain a new voting block when you have illegal migrants come into your state and the federal government can't remove them, or you make it extremely hard for them to be able to remove them. And so now they have a new voting block that will always be loyal, or at least their hope is they will always be loyal to the Democrat Party because they're the ones who gave them their quote unquote citizenship and ability to stay in this country. And so when you see Democrat leaders fighting for illegal migrants, it's not because they genuinely care about these people. It's because they care about what they represent, in my opinion. The ability to regain power and have control and dictate how this country and the direction this country goes. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours. Drop your comments down below. Smash that thumbs up button. Let me know you love the content. Subscribe to the channel for more. Share this video. That way more people see what's going on. And as always, until next time.